Broncos country. The hits just keep coming. The news out of joint practices with the San Francisco 49ers is nothing short of electric. The defense is turning heads, the energy is sky high, and the rest of the AFC West? They're starting to crack. But before we even get into that, let's talk about the massive bullet Denver just dodged in the draft. Many fans, and myself included, once thought Ashton Jeanty could have been the guy. Explosive in college, sure, but let's be real. Most of that production came on a blue turf field against competition far from NFL level. Out of the entire Mountain West last year, only 6 players were drafted, just 2 on defense, and they weren't picked until the 6th round. Fast forward to last night, Jeanty's NFL debut as a Las Vegas Raider. All that preseason hype, all those glowing reports, and then reality hit. 3 carries, -1 yard. One play in particular, a 4-yard loss where he tried to dance and improvise, showed exactly why the NFL isn't Boise State. You try that here, you pay the price. Meanwhile, the Broncos are looking sharper, faster, and more dangerous by the day. And that's the kind of news that sends shockwaves across the division. Now, some might say, it's just one preseason game. Don't overreact. Sure, it's one game, but history tells us that truly elite talent often makes a statement from the very first snap. Take Saquon Barkley. His first ever NFL preseason touch? A jaw-dropping 39-yard run. A generational talent announcing his arrival in an instant. Or Christian McCaffrey in his first preseason game against a loaded Houston Texans defense that featured stars like Jadeveon Clowney, he still racked up 33 yards on just 7 carries, averaging 4.7 yards per attempt. Saquon's first regular season carries? 5 attempts for 43 yards, an incredible 8.6 yards per carry. These are the numbers of players who are the real deal from day one. So when Raiders fans try to sell Ashton Jeanty as their next superstar, what we saw tells a different story. Yes, it's early. Yes, I could be wrong. But history says this has the makings of yet another wave of overhyped Raiders talk that fizzles out fast. Part of the reason for all that preseason buzz? The Raiders' defense was already a glaring weakness last year. They lost key pieces, including linebacker Robert Spillane, and the cracks are showing again. Even respected voices within Raider Nation, like Sanj, one of their big creators, admitted it. The Raiders' run defense was awful last night. And remember, that was the first-team Raiders defense struggling against the second-team Seahawks offense. Everything is lining up for Denver in ways you couldn't script any better. Now, no true fan celebrates injuries, they're devastating, and you never want to see a player's career in jeopardy. But the reality is, the Chargers just suffered a crushing blow. Their highest-paid offensive lineman, arguably the best on their roster, has torn his patellar tendon. A season-ending injury, and one that many players never fully recover from. For Denver, it means an already shaky Chargers front will have an even harder time controlling the line of scrimmage. And that's not the only setback for our division rivals. Reports say Ladd Mankey still hasn't practiced. Their off-season gamble on Mike Williams ended in retirement. Their follow-up flyer on Keenan Allen? He's sitting out with little interest from other teams. Meanwhile, Najee Harris still isn't at full health. Again, no one wants to see a player hurt. But if we're talking competitive advantage, this is huge for Denver. While the AFC West battles injuries and instability, the buzz around the Broncos is deafening. The defense is earning universal respect. The offense is clicking. Special teams are making noise, though Lutz missing 3 field goals yesterday was a rare hiccup. Even Kyle Shanahan, after a tough outing for his 49ers, admitted, "I actually think these guys are going to be one of the best teams in the league." And his praise didn't stop there. Shanahan also spoke glowingly about Bo Nix, saying he was a huge fan back in college. Coming from one of the NFL's most respected offensive minds, that says a lot about what Denver might have in their young quarterback. When the draft rolled around, a lot of people questioned Sean Payton's moves. The popular opinion was that Caleb Williams was a once-in-a-generation quarterback, that Ashton Jeanty was destined for stardom, and that Denver was making a mistake by going a different direction. But Sean Payton saw something most didn't. Instead of chasing hype, he built a roster around true fits, players like RJ. Harvey and Bo Nix, and now it's looking like Denver might have come away with the smarter, stronger long-term play. And just to prove it's not only Broncos fans saying this, let's hear it from the other side. After joint practices, even content creators covering the San Francisco 49ers admitted it. Denver dominated. Across every phase of the game, offense, defense, special teams, the Broncos took control. One comment stood out. Everybody is raving about that Broncos defense. Every single angle you look at, whether it's the 49ers offense or the Broncos defense, it comes back to how good that defense really is. They're as good as advertised. When your opponent's supporters are openly acknowledging your dominance, you know you're building something real. Turn on Bay Area sports radio this morning, and the very first thing you'd hear is this. We have to caveat this whole conversation with that Denver defense. It's not just good, it's unbelievable. They were awesome last year, and now they're humming. They've got confidence, they've got swagger, and they believe. That's the reputation Denver is building, one so undeniable that rival markets can't stop talking about it. Yes, both teams were missing key players in these joint practices. The 49ers didn't have Brandon Ayuk, and Trent Williams only participated in individual drills. On Denver's side, the Broncos were without starting safety Brandon Jones, tackling machine Alex Singleton, and defensive leader Dre Greenlaw. Even with those absences on both sides, the Broncos' defensive front stood out. From an outside perspective, analysts are still underrating this unit. Pro Football Focus may not be giving them their due, but anyone watching closely can see it. Denver's defensive line is easily one of the top 5 in the NFL right now. This is a defense with teeth, fast, physical, and fearless. And the league is starting to realize just how dangerous they really are. Even last season, there were moments where the Broncos' defense looked special. This year, they've taken it to another level, adding hard-hitting, downhill playmakers like Talanoa Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw. These are impact players who make you feel every single tackle. Combine that with shutdown corners like Pat Surtain too, and it's hard to imagine a world where this isn't a top 5 defense in the NFL. The secondary is a unit people outside of Denver still underestimate. Even with key players missing, they look dominant in practice. Surtain was as elite as ever, no surprise there, but the entire backfield played with precision and confidence. If you're a Broncos fan, you've got to appreciate what defensive coordinator Vance Joseph has done. Many doubted bringing back a former head coach in this role, but Joseph has embraced it with humility and swagger. He's molded this defense into one of the league's most feared units, reminiscent of how Steve Spagnuolo built the Chiefs' championship-caliber defenses. The Bay Area media isn't hiding their admiration either. They're blown away by how good this group is. And if Joseph stays in Denver long-term, the Broncos could be looking at a defense that brings home rings for years to come. If Vance Joseph stays in Denver, this defense could keep dominating for years, and what makes it even more impressive is that, until the arrivals of Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga, there was only one first-round pick on the entire unit. This is a group built on grit, development, and smart acquisitions. So, what exactly can Broncos country expect from Hufanga and Greenlaw? First, the only caution. Both have battled injuries in the past, so their ability to stay healthy will be key. As the saying goes, the best ability is availability. But when these two are on the field, they change everything. Hufanga brings leadership and presence, the kind of energy you can feel before the ball is even snapped. He plays with a physical edge that forces offenses to think twice. Wide receivers hear footsteps when he's in coverage. Running backs feel the hit long after the whistle. He's got that Troy Polamalu-style instinct and fearlessness, and it's contagious. Greenlaw? He's a throwback linebacker, a true thumper. He attacks with old-school physicality, punishing ball carriers and setting the tone for everyone around him. Together, these two give the Broncos a spine of pure steel, anchoring a defense that was already one of the league's most feared. When Dre Greenlaw hits you, you know it. And here's what makes this season in Denver so exciting. For the first time, we'll see what happens when Greenlaw is the guy. The leader, the mic, the one calling the shots for the entire defense. This is the Ray Lewis effect. Put a powerful, instinctive middle linebacker behind a dominant defensive line, and you shut down the heart of the field. Running backs don't find daylight up the middle. quarterbacks start feeling pressure they can't escape. And with Greenlaw's strength and awareness, that spine of the defense becomes unbreakable. Add that to the fact that Denver already led the league in sacks last season. Add Pat Surtain too, arguably the best defensive player in football, locking down the secondary. Add a unit that's drawing early comparisons to the legendary no-fly zone. If you've got the #1 defense in the NFL and a top 10 offense, that's a championship formula. That's the blueprint for a Super Bowl run. Broncos country. Something big is brewing in Denver. The defense is locking in, the offense is finding its stride, and the vision for this team is starting to look like championship football. But the biggest shift? It's the heart of this defense, and the battles we just witnessed in camp have me fired up and asking some real questions. When you get hit by Dre Greenlaw, you know you've been hit. There's no mistaking it. Now, I'll still stand by this. Fred Warner is the best linebacker in the NFL, no question in my mind. But what's about to happen in Denver with Greenlaw? We've never seen him as the guy. The leader, the voice in the huddle, the one calling the shots and running the game. This is a Ray Lewis situation, and I don't say that lightly. A middle linebacker built like a tank, sitting behind a stout defensive line, means one thing. You're not running up the middle. Period. Add in the fact that Denver already led the NFL in sacks last season, and you've got Patrick Surtain too, arguably the best player in football on the defensive side, locking down the outside. This spine of the defense could be the foundation of something legendary. People are already whispering about the return of a no-fly zone type dominance. And if you compare a #1 defense with even a top 10 offense, that's the recipe for a Lombardi trophy. But let's keep it real, camp didn't answer every question. First, the running back room. All offseason, this was supposed to be a priority. Sure, the Broncos added talent, drafted R.J. Harvey and made moves in free agency, but where's the noise? Where's the electricity? From the outside, it's been quiet, almost too quiet. Then there's Mike McGlinchey, former 49er, and in joint practices, Nick Bosa had his way. That's not nothing. Still, I saw flashes. 6 yards a clip in team drills is a big improvement from the 2- and 3-yard runs I saw earlier in camp. Even if the tackles aren't being finished in practice, the push-up front looked stronger, the holes looked cleaner. It felt like a step forward, and that's exactly what this offense needs. So Broncos country. The spine of this defense looks championship ready. The offense is showing signs of life, but the quiet around the running backs and the battles in the trenches? Those are stories worth watching, because in Denver, every detail matters when you're chasing greatness. And make no mistake, this team is coming for it. Broncos country. Last night's joint practice with the 49ers wasn't just football, it was a statement. A collision of two heavyweights. A battle of confidence, pride, and a little bit of bad blood. And make no mistake, the Denver Broncos didn't back down. Sean Payton's confidence in this running game is undeniable. This season, Denver has shifted from a power running attack to a wide zone scheme, and the 49ers just happen to be one of the few teams in the NFL built perfectly to defend it. They know it, we know it, and yet, we came right at them. Nick Bosa? No question he's elite, but when you look at the Broncos' edge rushers as a whole, we'll take our group over theirs any day. And while the 49ers love their offensive line, we've seen McGlinchey grow from the days of being nicknamed McFlinchy into a key piece for Denver's protection. Now, about that bad blood people are whispering about. Sure, there were some rumblings after the Greenlaw situation. And yes, Shanahan and Lynch might have had their eyebrows raised. But let's be real on the field, it was nothing short of fierce competition. The joint practices this year brought fire we didn't see last season, and the energy? Electric. There were scuffles, there was shoving, there was chirping, and a whole lot of swagger from the Broncos' defense, the kind of swagger that gets under an opponent's skin. Trent Williams himself was caught joying with our defensive guys as they let San Francisco know they weren't going to be pushed around. And let's not forget, the last time the Broncos walked into Levi's Stadium, we walked out Super Bowl champions. We marked our territory then, and last night was just a reminder, we're coming back. The ties between these teams, Shanahan, McCaffrey, John Lynch, make the stakes even higher. And if destiny allows it, we'll see them again under the brightest lights in February. Broncos country, the fire is real, the confidence is real, and this team is ready for war. We're not just talking playoffs, we're talking about building a path to the Super Bowl. And after last night, one thing is clear, the Denver Broncos are here to make the NFL feel our presence.